My decision to disobey my parents that night might have been the only reason we're all still alive. I had found an abandoned puppy on my way home from school that day. It was all alone and shaking from the cold. I noticed it even had the same color of eyes as me. There was no possibility of me leaving it alone in that alley. The only problem would be my parents. Our last dog had just passed away, and they had said after we buried him that they weren't ready to get a new dog anytime soon. Still, I intended on showing them the dog the instant I got home. When I entered the room, they were discussing a burglary that happened at the house next door the night before. "Guys," I shouted, "I found this puppy on my way home from school. It was on the verge of starving. We can keep him, right?" My parents looked at each other, instantly got on the same wavelength, and shot the same disapproving look back at me simultaneously. "Absolutely not," they said in unison. "That thing will use the bathroom all over the house," said my dad. "And it will keep us up all night barking," my mom added. "And worst of all, puppies like that bite, and bite hard," my dad said with finality. "I don't care where you take it, but it's not staying here." He pointed out of the room as if giving me marching orders. I took the dog up to my room, telling my parents I would call some shelters in the morning. Once inside, I locked my door and cleared out the bottom drawer of my dresser. I laid out some newspaper and placed the puppy softly down. "I don't care what they say, boy. This will be your new home." I looked at the clock. It was already almost 11 p.m. I crashed into my bed and fell asleep almost instantly. Little did I know, at that exact moment, someone had cut the power to our security system and was already breaking into the side door. But they weren't the only ones awake and operating inside the house. The puppy I had brought home had just come down the stairs and used the bathroom all over the kitchen floor. As soon as the puppy had trotted into the next room, the intruder had broken the lock and was taking his first steps into the kitchen. He slipped in the mess that the puppy had left and slammed to the floor, knocking off several dishes from high shelves. The commotion caused the puppy to begin barking wildly. The barking alerted my parents, who came downstairs, armed to the teeth to address the situation. They flipped on the lights to see the burglar with guns already drawn on them both. The tension was so heavy, it almost crushed everyone in the room. All of the sudden, the puppy bit hard at the burglar's ankle, causing him to drop both of his guns and fall again to the floor. My parents moved in and pinned him to the ground until the police arrived and took him away. After everyone had left, I sat with my parents and looked at them both and said, "You're right, the dog did use the bathroom in the house. It did bark too loud, and it did bite. And because he did, we're all still standing here together. So, can we please keep him?" My parents didn't say anything. They just pulled both me and the puppy in for a warm family hug. I was being interrogated as a lead suspect in a murder case when the detective slammed down a file on the table. "You were the one to find the body. You called it in. You said you saw someone run out the back, but you couldn't give us a face. And you want me to believe you're innocent." I nodded slowly, and he crossed his arms. "We're going to have to do a lie detector test. And if we find out you're guilty, well, just know that the death sentence is legal here." But when the examiner clipped a cold sensor to my finger and asked, "Did you do it?" I answered, "No, I did not do it." And the machine flashed red. "Lie." I jolted up. "That's wrong. Run it again." "I didn't do it." She reset the paper, but when she asked again, she got the same answer. She folded her hands. "The machine doesn't lie, ever." The detective stopped writing and closed his folder slowly. "This goes to the evidence team tonight." I leaned forward until the straps bit into my arms. "Please, I've got a kid at home. I would never do anything to hurt her, including murder." The examiner ignored me and reached to peel the sensor off, and when we locked eyes, the color drained from my face. "Wait, the person who ran out the back door, that was you." She stared at the ground. "No, I don't think so." I turned to the detective. "You want a real reading? Put her in that chair." The examiner's pen went still. "That's not procedure." He pulled the straps off my chest and pointed at the examiner. "Sit in the chair." They strapped her into her own chair, her own sensors on her skin, her hands nowhere near the dials. The detective ran the baseline and leaned in. "Did you kill him?" She gave the same answer I did. "I didn't do it." Except this time, when the lie detector flashed red, lie, it was telling the truth. The detective looked up at me. "I guess you really are innocent." I was being interrogated. I threw a paper airplane in class, and it smacked my physics teacher in the back of the head. He snatched it off the floor and held it up. "Who did that?" "Sorry, sir," I said, pointing across the room. "I was aiming for the trash can." The class erupted in laughter, but our teacher crushed my plane in his fist. "The trash can? The drag coefficient alone makes that throw physically impossible. You were never gonna make it." I took that as a challenge and stood up immediately. "I can absolutely make it." He rubbed his chin in deep thought before saying, "Let's bet on it. You land the airplane and this whole class gets full A's. Miss, this, and you stand up here every morning and apologize to me." I smirked because I knew I had him, and then I reached out and shook his hand. "Deal." I pulled out a fresh sheet and folded the exact plane I'd folded 1,000 times before, creasing every fold slow while the class chanted my name. I cocked my arm back and threw it straight up as fast as I could. It shot off my hand and went straight to the ceiling, but it stalled at the top of a lazy loop, and the chant died as someone groaned, "It's dropping." But the nose swung down and swooped out of the dive, and the whole room roared back to life. Halfway across, it drifted way offline. A kid yelled, "It's gonna miss," and the teacher cupped his hands. "Start practicing that apology." But the heavy nose I'd creased banked it back on course, and I sighed with relief. But 10 feet from the can, it dipped low again, and it nearly scraped the desks, and I almost passed out thinking I'd lost. At the front, the teacher had already grabbed a marker and was writing "apology schedule" across the whiteboard. But the plane caught a pocket of air, leveled out, and locked dead straight on the can. The marker fell from his hand, and he screamed, "No!" as he bolted across the room to swat it down. But his shoe slipped mid-lunge, and he landed flat on his stomach 2 feet from the can, lifting his head to watch my plane sail over him and drop in. The class exploded out of their seats as I plucked it out and held it up in front of his face. "Sir, you're looking at the state paper airplane champion, and I was always gonna make it." He slapped the floor and called out, "Full A's! Everyone gets full A's!" Chef slammed the plate down so hard sauce sprayed across my apron. "What is this garbage? Take it back. We don't serve this here." The dining room went quiet. A man at table 6 didn't even look up. He'd been writing in a notebook all night, holding his wine glass up to the light. Whoever he was, the chef hadn't noticed him yet. I took the plate back without a word. The kitchen doors hadn't stopped swinging before he started up again. "20 years I've cooked for billionaires, and you can't smear sauce straight." He grabbed a towel off the counter and threw it at my chest. "I trained at the French Laundry. You're slop in an apron." The other cooks kept their heads down. He pushed back through the doors, still ranting, and a couple at table 4 set down their forks. The man at table 6 hadn't even put his pen down. The chef stopped at table 6 and turned on his charm in one breath. "How is everything tonight, sir?" The man set down his pen and looked up for the first time all night. "Your line cook's plating is the best thing I've eaten in 6 months. Your behavior is the only thing failing tonight." The chef opened his mouth and nothing came out. The man closed his notebook and stood. He pulled a press ID from his jacket and tucked it back in. "I'm the food critic for the Times. The piece runs Sunday. The headline writes itself. Sunday morning, the review hit with 1 star, and my plating got its own paragraph. 6 months later, the line at my restaurant runs down the block. His place sits dark with a for lease sign in the window." The chef